SA trigger warning. Some background. My GEF 26F and I 29M have been dating for 5 years. We have been friends since I was 16 as I was good friends with her brother at school. Once her brother and I finished school, we lost contact due to moving to different towns for university. I came back into contact with her after studying and in a new city for work. We almost spontaneously became good if not best friends again. We started dating after a year of getting to know each other, but due to work and her studies we were forced to move to separate cities again. We had decided that since we somehow found each other again, we will try to make the relationship work long distance. I knew it would be hard, and I assumed she did too, but I was committed to making sure I was in a stable position financially to set up a life together for when she was done studying. I have tried to be supportive as best I can with anything she wants to do with her life, and whatever path she wants to take through all the ups and downs. 5 years in, and we are finally in a good position where we are both ready to move in together. It has not been the smoothest journey, and I admit to many mistakes and problems I have caused in the relationship that have no excuses. None of which I believe to be relationship threatening though. But of course, that is just my point of view, and I could very well be wrong. About 3 months ago on a Friday during one of our afternoon video calls, she let me know that she is going out with her friends for one of their birthdays. I have never had issues with this, as this is a normal thing. I want her to enjoy her life as much as I believe she does for me. All I ask is that she lets me know when she is safe at home or at a friend's house, so that I don't worry about her safety. She let me know at 3 a.m. that she is at her best friend's house, and will be staying the night as she is understandably too intoxicated to drive. I reply happily that she is safe. Normally I get a couple of messages after letting me know how the night was, but not this time. Later that day, I get a message saying she's not feeling well, and that she is sorry for being quiet. I brushed it off as hungover, but the next 3 days just seemed to be one-sided conversations with myself with very little feedback. I should say that I have been cheated on before, but I don't like comparing two completely different people, and generally try to give people the benefit of the doubt first, which is something she has actually complained about. I will admit, however, it was difficult to not let my thoughts wander, which I admit before knowing anything was wrong. The Tuesday evening after that very silent weekend, I got a phone call from her. I can hear she has been crying, but she is now trying to just compose herself. She almost immediately tells me that she cheated on me. Honestly, I was just stunned, and I just replied, "What?" She then repeated herself. The moment is so vivid in my head, I don't think I will ever forget any moment of it, like it's burnt into my brain. This hurt far more than before, as this was someone I truly loved and saw a future worth building with. After a long silent pause, she asked me to say something. I couldn't feel anything, as if my life just drained from me in an instant. I then replied with, "I guess we're over then." She then instantly began begging me to stay, and that she knows I will never forgive her, but that I should please not leave. She promised that she will be completely transparent with everything, and that she will answer any questions I had with complete honesty. I sat for what felt like forever just listening to her beg and cry. For some reason I just couldn't put down the phone. I thought since she did come to me first before anything else, and didn't hide it, I should at least hear her out. She then told me everything in a lot of detail. She explained that she was severely drunk. She was at her friend's house, and there was another guy that came with. Someone she was talking to the whole night. The guy was best friends with her friend's Beth, and was down from another town, and staying there for the week. Randomly, her friend and Beth decided to go to bed, leaving them alone. She decided to make herself comfortable on the couch in an attempt to get some sleep before the sun came up. This is when she messaged me. The guy then proceeded to make a move on her, and she for some reason didn't stop him. She said there was no intimacy, just sex, and after 5 minutes, she stopped it. When I asked her why didn't she stop it before anything happened, and did she enjoy it at first, she told me that she felt very lonely that night as most of her friends had their puffs, and in that moment she enjoyed the attention. I won't lie, that answer really gutted me. I felt partly to blame, as I've always feared that being in a relationship with me would make her feel lonely, but I never thought it would push her to this. I silently broke down without her knowing and eventually just ended the call with, "I need to think about things." We continued to talk, and I treated her more like a friend than being in a relationship, but I think she respected that, as she just went with it. We continued to work through things, and eventually after 2.5 months, I paid for her to fly up to me to actually talk in person about it all. At first things were rock, but after her flight back things got bad. We started fighting often. She started accusing me of things I do wrong all the time. What was worse, after our last disagreement, she has now claimed that she actually got suicided that night 3 months ago, and that I never supported her. Her entire story of that night has changed, and her claim to why she explained everything the way she did before was because she was just confused and didn't know what to think. Now every argument I feel it gets thrown in my face, along with other things, like it's getting used against me. And if I question it, then I'm calling her a liar, and am not supportive. I told her that if she truly believes that she got saved, then we must take it further, and I will support her by hiring a lawyer, or she could at least tell me where to find the guy. After all, what kind of man would I be to let a literal rapist get away with something like that, especially with the person I love? She then just tells me not to push her, and I must just drop it. My issue is that for 3 months I have struggled with my own mental health, and the reality that the person I love would do something like that to me after everything. And it took a long while for me to accept that reality and move on. But now I can't, because not only has it changed, it is also now getting used against me. I honestly don't know what to do anymore, as she is still pushing to move in with me, and as much as I would like to move on and just accept what she is saying, something is not adding up. Any advice on this would be appreciated. Sorry for the long post. Update. Thanks everyone for the advice. Decided to talk further and discovered some further truths. Told her that we will work it out if she tells her brother and father who she lives with. She did it. I then proceeded to remove her from my life. Her father, who I was quite close to, phoned me to apologize and told me she had been kicked out of the house. Thanks again. There are 100 reasons here to end this relationship. It's a problematic long-distance relationship. She cheated. She's gaslighting and backtracking. She's blaming you after calling it cheating and contextualizing it within her loneliness. And now she's toxically turning it on you and picking fights. She's trying to emotionally control you and turn her mistake into ammunition against you. You'll be facing the same bullshit if you continue, with her leveraging her accusations of you into power in the relationship. She's already trying to use you for housing. What's to say she hasn't been cheating on you in other moments when she was lonely? Sorry, dude, it's time to move on. She is lying to you. Remember, cheaters only tell you the bare minimum of what they did so as not to make themselves look as bad as they really are. She had drunken sex with this guy. I feel you know she was not deceived by this guy. The fact that you had barely any contact with her after the night she went out probably means she continued to have sex with him for a few days. She probably only told you about it because her friends knew what had happened, and she was worried you would somehow find out about it, so she wanted to get out in front of it. It's time to move on. If you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. So exactly what the title suggests, my GF, 19F, cheated on me, 18M. Throughout our first semester of long-distance relationship. We started hooking up in June of our senior year, and when it came time for her to move away to college, she told me she loved me and wanted to do a long-distance relationship, despite being non-exclusive the whole summer. I agreed, assuming this was her closing the relationship, and we've been dating ever since. She is an amazing person, and I've never connected with another person the way I do with her, which is why I decided to do LD with her. However, we came back onto the topic of exclusivity in October, to which I assumed we were exclusive, but she said that we weren't. That was a shock, considering everything, but she ultimately told me that she hasn't slept with anyone yet, and that she was willing to become exclusive. I told her to be completely honest with me, and that even though I might hold some resentment towards her for that I would appreciate the honesty and work towards overcoming that, since technically we never revisited our terms of exclusivity when doing long distance. She still said no, that she hadn't slept with anyone, and I believed her. Anyways, I plan visits, I make time, she goes to school in Philly while I'm in Texas, so it's hard, but I was willing to put in the effort. I visited her in September, flew her out in October, and then she came home for Thanksgiving in November. It was during the November break when I found out what she did, and then I confronted her about it. Immediately she broke down and started crying, telling me how sorry she was for lying and cheating on me. She told me the first two were while we to her, were non-exclusive, and that the third one was completely her fault and that she didn't say no. This is where things get messy. She then tells me that the third one, let's call him Ethan, sexually assaulted her, and that after it started, she didn't want it to keep going, but he didn't notice / seem to care. He was apparently well endowed and hurt her to the point where she was bleeding and couldn't walk. This happened around early November, and I noticed things were off. I didn't let her go into much detail, more so for her, because I didn't want to make her relive that moment, but I didn't know how to feel that my girlfriend was sexually assaulted while cheating. It doesn't stop there though, and she then goes back to the second guy for emotional support. For context, he was in her friend group, and were friends while they were hooking up, but she ended things with him after we were officially exclusive. So she goes to him for support, and she tells me that he used her for sex despite being the only person she could talk to about her situation. She told me she felt used by him, and that he would come listen to her sob, frick her, and then leave. She was not enthusiastic about every second of it, but she was scared that her only support would leave if she didn't have sex with him. She tells me all of this, absolutely destroyed with what was a mix of guilt, shame, and regret, and I don't know how to feel. I was shockingly calm throughout that entire encounter, and I offered her support where she needed it, and I sympathized and was there for her during her retelling me her stories at SA. She told me that I was her only anchor now and that she couldn't do it. It being life, I think, she wasn't specific, without me and begged me back. I broke up with her immediately after finding out, but she kept holding on and crying. I'm completely mixed on how to feel. On one hand, she cheated and lied to me, but not only that, had a whole situationship with one of her friends while in a relationship with me that continued after we were exclusive. It's insulting the lack of respect that she showed me in our entire relationship.